Welcome back. My role now is to open the last third session of our today's conference, Creativity in Social Work. So I would like to invite three panelist papers. They are slightly longer. We also hear a theory, and then they deserve to be published. I would like to highlight here that we will just make a conference proceedings so that you can later download, not only including those papers, but the others also. So now I would like to welcome Brnula, who works at the Department of Social Work at the Porkyně University in the city Ústí nad Labem. Can you hear me? Yes, we hear you really well. The faculty social economic. I will not waste your time. You can just hear everything also in the website. So I would like to give floor to you, Mr. Brnula. Your paper is called Transformation, Social Work and its Challenges in Post-COVID time from the value point of view. Thank you very much for giving me the floor. Have a very nice morning, everybody. So I would like to greet everybody in all parts of the Czech Republic and also in foreign countries. It's quite unusual that we are connected from different locations. It's a new experience for me. So it's a first year of everything new. So this is also my new experience. That means online conference. I have already attended it from the position of a participant audience, not a panelist yet. So I have to say I miss looking to faces of participants. Now I look to my own presentation in computer, so it's a special feeling not seeing you, so I will just try to imagine how you look like. I will not tell you anything new. We are living in COVID-19 pandemic period. It impacted us substantially a year ago. So what is clear, and I think I will not tell you anything new, that we are
Ano.
technical troubles being fixed. So the sound was interrupted for a minute, so I'll try to build on my previous slide. So our civilization is in crisis. In fact, not only our civilization, but all global civilizations are in crisis. We are living a crisis. We are solving crisis now, and people talk about economic impact, health care impact, and maybe also social and psychological impacts. We all know that they are not that widely discussed, but still they are necessary. But what is not discussed much at all, in fact, is the changes in values brought by the pandemic, and it will be also brought in the future. So we can look at the values of our civilization. We can, in fact, think about the values represented by social work, because social work and social services are in fact interlinked with the values of our society where these services are conducted. So I would like to look at the COVID time in more optimistic way, what we can do about it, and also saying that the change does not have to be bad. And that's what I would like to promote. Let's see the COVID period as the challenge to change also the values in the society brought and seen from the optimistic point of view. I would like to express my big thank to you, thanking you, social workers, workers in social services, generally speaking, for your outputs, performance in this time. For me, you are examples of the values represented by this time. I deeply respect you. We have survived one demanding year in social work, social services. Without big impact on the quality of services. On the contrary, I think that you have, in fact, promoting the quality of social work also in the period and terms and conditions of a COVID time. I deeply respect you for that. In fact, my paper is aimed at a kind of reflection of the values in the COVID time, values in the society. We have certain facts, but we have them, but maybe we need some time period in order to be able to evaluate the data correctly. Let's try to think together about the values and the society. I did not draft my paper as a finding. It's rather a reflection. We don't have enough data for findings yet, for drafting the results. What is missing now? The long-term results were already conducted, different diaries made by the journals, different journals made by the social workers, writing down their learnings and insights from the experience gained during the time. Several researches are already made, and I'm really looking forward to see the scientific results. So let's have a look together on the values and social work. I just would like to tell you something about the resources I made. A lot of colleagues keep saying that social work is based on values. And in fact, it is also promoted by the World International Federation of Social Work. My colleague Pavlovichova is saying that social work is a profession based on values. She does not talk about the solidarity, equality and justice in the level of political values, promoting not only ethical values such as well-being, autonomy, and so on. So this is the basic thinking for me, that in fact during the last year we had a chance to move, promote social work, and maybe the year past, in fact, accelerated the change in the values of social work. My perception is that we can, in fact, simplify the text of Max Kasparu and Brother Chavol that was published in Fontana magazine together, and I think many of us had already seen For instance, in Facebook, somebody transferred this interview into a table. So I'll try to summarize it. It's about the shift of values we are experiencing in our society. Our famous philosopher Max Kasparov describes the shifts in the paradigm of values. And what is really important is Max Kasparov is stating that laziness was transferred in procrastination or social benefits, allowances. So there are a number of other ideas. It's very interesting, and it's a reflection of shifts in the values of social work, and maybe we can also use the period look at the society from different perspective, reflecting the pre-COVID period with a post-COVID period. We have just created the hierarchy of values in Slovakia. I miss data, I have to say, but in fact, we probably will further develop this research. We have made a research in the Slovak Chamber of Social Workers among members, and we have selected first three values that were important for the Slovaks Code of Ethics in Slovakia, and also focused on the sequence of those three values. The most important, the first one, was the importance of human relationships, second, value of social justice, and third, dignity of human beings. So the output of the research showed, and I have to say that in my view, I would shift the sequence. I will start with the dignity of human beings, then followed by social justice, and then at the last, third position, in my view, would belong to the importance of human relationships. So that's why I just was quite surprised by the outcomes of this research. Nevertheless, it will be quite interesting to see how people evaluate those parameters in the Czech Republic. And let's hope that we will just cooperate with the other researchers and we will make this research. What is the most important thing is that we have selected those three values of social work, and we can say it's a top of the value pyramid reached by a consensus in social work, and the peak top of the pyramid, or three most important values in social work, we have identified were by measures of individual governments, including Czech Republic in the time of pandemic, in our civilization territory. They were simply somehow interrupted, breached, disrupted, and disturbed, looking to social services, for instance, looking to residential social services, impossibility to visit clients in residential services, impossibility to go out, then measures that do not respect wishes of clients, and at the same time statement that professionals know what measures are the best, and in fact all of that disrupted the pyramid of values existing for a number of years. Well, I really do not want to question those measures. It's not my intention, and we have no time for it. I just wanted to highlight the discrepancy between the values of the profession and implemented measures. In a certain way, the values of our professions were not in line with the measures that were implemented. And looking to the social work values, where we have to observe the value pyramid, I have to say what served as a great assistance to me, and I just offer it as an explanation, is the statement that social services, in fact, were built on the basic value, which is a respect to human life. So respecting this respect to life and putting it to the top of the pyramid, then the other measures we have discussed may not be viewed as the in fact disturbance of the other values, and for a certain period of time only. I believe that we just gave the preference to those values. I don't want to question it. I think it's okay, but in fact, time is too long. In fact, the period is quite lengthy. I don't want to call it a trouble. It's more than 1 year, so everybody feels tired. It's a fatigue. So maybe we can start evaluating what COVID will make, how COVID will impact the society as such, but also its basic values. I personally feel that we should at least discuss and highlight that it's a crisis period, and in fact giving preference to one value over the others, it's in the interest of both individuals and society, and then those who perform the social work in daily work should be supported by the statement. I know it's quite complex statement, so maybe I'll simplify it. So I really feel that currently protection of life has higher priority compared to the other values, even though the other values should be evaluated with respect to the priority of life, and it should be true for limited period of time. Well, we have started in a philosophical way, and it's quite complex. What is important for philosophical point of view cannot be observed in practice. So that's why you need a clear answer in practice that you are not breaching values of social work. And such assistance or this support is, in my view, truly necessary. Looking to period we experience in social works ethics, again I use the quotation of Pavlovichova. She described 4 different periods, which is the period of so-called maladjusted citizens, then the value period where we just switched to value structure of the company, plus ethical codes, then the last period period of ethical standards and risk management was the period of the ethical standards and risk management, where market and managerial approach is taken into social work, a pressure of economization and consumerism. So client, in fact, equals to customer. So it's neo-liberal concept in social work. It is necessary to admit that currently the society will add some other values, and maybe I will call this period as a draft a period of verifying the values of the profession. I'm still thinking, and I'm pleased that we are discussing both among colleagues, and we are talking about the three top values that we think they have priority. But while discussing, for me, I think we are already verifying the values of our profession, and I'm really pleased that, in my view, it was a consensus, and the values are persisting and will persist, or hopefully will try to persist. Changes in values. Yes, we are living a period where values are changing. Yeah, the society truly changes. Enormous changes. During conflicts or lack of agreements, we are looking in the changed reality. We are looking for appropriate solutions to implement in changed everyday life realities. What do you do every day? So, if we may, to look at the fact that we are willing, or you are willing, to discuss, and you are sensitive, and you are highlighting a number of failures or pitfalls that you are unhappy with, not being able to deliver the best to people you are working with. In fact, it demonstrates that the development in the values was, and I think it still is, was developed correctly. And you are really living and trusting those values. And I think we are now verifying the values. Yes, quite often we are living painful situations, but from the view of our professions and values, it is necessary to undergo those changes in this period. Values of the society are also changing. I think they do. We don't know how the society develop in the values. It will be demonstrated in the future, and what we can say clearly, our Western civilization, society, is in fact making an exam, difficult exam, with respect to values. Well, the question is, would values in social work will also change? Clearly, yes, but we don't know how they will be changed. But as our duty, I would say, we should try to implement into this reflection also the value priority chain, and to look to the pyramid of values we have in the profession with a perspective given by time, but at the same time we should say that the development will go on, and it is also reflected even now in at least two areas, which is using current technologies that become part of bioethics already. So euthanasia, abortions are no longer the only questions under the bioethics. Certain private company had launched a technology of so-called deep nostalgies that will just give movement to the pictures of ancestors, so they will be able to move and smile and so on. So the question is how the society will be able to use those technologies, and it's up to us whether we would like to involve it in the social work. Well, we should also probably implement those bioethics issues into our discussion and work. Which is, however, clear is that the society is changing, and the crisis demonstrated to us that during February 2021, European Agency for Basic Rights had published the results of the research showing horrifying numbers and the increase of violence, not only domestic violence, but violence related to minorities. And what is quite bad is that the Czech Republic is in the third position in the recent time, which represents a challenge for us. Now, speaking about the liberty, equality, social justice, freedom, respect, dignity, self-determination, well, those are the values that should be reflected also in the area of violence and so on. So we will see what will be the results, but we should prepare ourselves for the impacts. So we should not be surprised. We should be ready in order not to accept everything without critical thinking. We should try to develop the arguments, benefits of the profession valid for a number of years. So this argument database will be really useful for us being able to see correctly the changes we are undergoing.
Mám problém opatrení.
What is really important for me is not the trouble of measures, but rather a method of their implementation, which is interfering with our values. Social workers of the future. I know I have last minute to go. There are two studies. Uri Messick, who just explains that we are living in the generation apocalypse. Orban also describes the generation of digital time, stating that cyberspace is not that democratic to share information as it may have seemed at the beginning when it was developed. And by talking about generation of digital time, those data were collected in 2017. More than 20% of global population is using PCs, console, and mobile data. And in fact, they are saying that it's about the relationship of virtual environment and reality. They are saying that maybe it is about adjusting reality to the game virtual environment, not vice versa. And Now we should rather focus on the discussion about the importance of values with the upcoming digital generation. So the life in social services and social works should not be similar to digital games, but digitization should benefit us positively in order not to lose quality in the benefit of quantity. It's about social work and changes in the values, and this will bring necessary irrevocable shift in values, inevitable shift in values, because currently we can still talk about the values and we should talk about present tense because we can form the values pyramid priorities now. We can shape it now. So thank you very much for your attention. So thank you very much for being in time. It was an excellent message. So let's see questions related to challenges in post-COVID period. And the first question is, what is the importance of social work and professional chamber in Slovakia? May I ask you to tell us something about it, to compare the situation in Slovakia with the Czech Republic? Thank you very much.
Well, that's a big question. I'll try to be brief. I think that a professional chamber is going to have a great impact on the moving the profession forward. The issue of the Slovakian law is the voluntarily membership. The membership in Slovakia is based on a voluntary approach, and the impact on the development that the chamber potentially has is not as high as it could be if it really was professional association. I don't mean that it would have to be like obligatory, that would create some kind of a like revenge, but it's like that it should be an honor to be a part of a chamber. Then I would see a big importance that the chamber can develop the social work. I don't know if I answered your question. Thank you. There is another feedback from Mrs. Rímová. Very inspiring reflection of our discipline and our work. Could you please talk about where do you see the room for discussion about further development of social work? And do you think it's an academic environment? I'm going to start with that the spaces in the organizations itself, and because I'm a supervisor, I also think it opens up in supervisions. The academic space, now I'm going to be critical towards my own organization. We're not going to manage it by ourselves. We're going to need reflection from the bottom so that we can see it clearly. The current world is showing the interconnection of the academic and practical world. The theory can we can move the theory, and that the theory is going to move the practice. That would be excellent. I would just like to comment that you yourself work in practice. You work in the area of social work with migrants. Thank you very much for your presentation. And I sympathize with you how difficult it is for you not to have the contact and to be in the online environment. It's very much resonates with me. It's just as difficult for me. So thank you very much.